For my essay, I am interviewing a few of my friends on um on Wicca, because that's what my essay is about, and I am asking them a series of questions. There's 13 of them, and I felt like since I am also a practitioner of Wicca, that I should as also answer the questions myself. That way you can see my point of view and compare and contrast it with theirs. The first question is, what exactly is it that you believe? That's really hard to answer. Oh, and it's also, and how long have you been practicing? It's hard to answer how what it is that I believe, but before I have answered my friends who I used to talk to, but I'll just tell you what I told them, then I'll elaborate on it if I feel I need to. But I believe there is a mother and a father God. I don't believe Jesus was the literal son of God, but a very important historical figure. I believe a bit of each religion and am respectful and accepting to anyone's beliefs, even though I prefer Wicca and I claim Wicca. I believe that there is a devil and demons, but not necessarily a hell. I believe in things I can't see. I believe in ghosts, witches, and things that go bump in the night. I believe in psychics, mediums, empaths, and the like. I believe I am slightly empathetic, which means I can get a feel of how somebody's feeling. I believe everything happens for a reason, and we should see each experience, tragic or not, as a way to grow and enhance our souls. I believe life is a lesson, and I believe in reincarnation. I believe everyone has beauty inside of them, but most choose not to embrace it. I judge not by creed, religion, or beliefs, but by the character of the soul. I believe in love, and I believe in hope, and I believe in the unimaginable. That may seem kind of poetic or whatever, but that was just me typing up what I believed to tell them. Um, to elaborate on the mother and father, I see them as two aspects of one deity, one higher power. And you 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 know how there is the roles for the father in a household and the role for the mother in the household. The father is the provider, the protector, the one in power, the strong one. And the mother is the emotional support, the nurture, the basically everything emotional. She's there, like, if the baby's crying, she'll be the first one normally to go and pick it up and find out what's wrong, feed it, give it a bottle, that's the same as feeding, but change its diaper, rock it, just maybe if it just wants to be held. I know that when my puppy right here wants to be held, he cries sometimes. Like, he's my baby. And so basically, like, that's how I see the mother and the father God. Although they are the same thing, whenever I need certain things like physical support, I pray to ask help. I don't want to call it praying, but I ask for help from the Father. Whenever I need emotional support, I ask help from the Mother. When I feel like I'm just not able to do anything, I ask help from both of them. And how long have I been practicing? I really don't know. I'm thinking openly it might have just be a year, but privately it might have been longer than that. The next question is, why is it that you believe this? It just makes sense to me. I was raised in a Christian church, so I don't discredit. Well, yes, that's wrong. I don't tell them that they're wrong. I don't think that they are wrong. If they believe that they are right, then they are right, and for themselves. It's what's right for them is not right for me in totality. Um, And it's been a series of things that has caused me to believe it. And that will come with the next question is, how did you come about this belief system? That's the third question. And how I came about Wicca is that, like I said, I was raised in the Christian church, and the one that we went to the most was a Pentecostal church in Duncanville, Texas, called Fair Meadows Assembly of God. The pastor was Pastor Bill Blaine, and his wife was Tangela. Well, they're still alive, so that is, but he's not a pastor anymore. He got sick, and he had to step down from being a pastor, and we got a new pastor. Before we got the new pastor, we were all very involved in the church. My grandma was the choir director. My uncle was the leader in the band for worship. My aunt Jen, she helped with the nursery and children's church. I also helped with the nursery. My stepmom helped with the children's church. We were just all very involved. My grandfather was in charge of the soundboard, and my brothers helped every now and then with the soundboard. So yes, we were really involved in the church, and I loved it. But when Pastor Bill got sick and he had to quit being pastor, we got a new pastor named Pastor Joe. And he completely changed everything. What's on your nose? He completely changed everything. He kicked my whole family off of anything that had to do with church. He took the pews out of the sanctuary and put chairs. Which that's just not right to me. Like, when I think of a sanctuary, I think of pews, the long benches and stuff that you sit on. And I think church and pews go together. But anyways, and every teaching he gave every Sunday was about him and how perfect his family was and how amazing his wife was and how she was the best, blah blah blah, whatever. He basically kicked my family off and replaced it with his family and people from CFNI, which is a college, a Christian college. I don't know if it's a college program or an actual college, but he replaced everybody with that, which added culture to the church because there was a bunch of people from different ethnicities there after that. But it didn't feel like it used to. It didn't feel like home anymore. And around that time, I had actually, a little before that, before he came into the pastor position, I had already been discovering about Wicca and everything. And after we left the church, we we went and tried different churches. We tried the Gospel Lighthouse. We tried this other church down the street from my high school that I went to. We tried a different church. It's just nothing felt like home. It didn't feel right anymore. And I started to realize that even in those churches, everybody that I had encountered, other than the elderly people, like the older people of the church, they were all very hypocritical. In every church that I had started going to after Fair Meadows, at church, they'd be all good and everything like you're supposed to be at church, but then outside of church, when I'd hang out with them, they'd be totally different. They'd be they would be the complete opposite of what they pretended to be at church. And I didn't like that because I stayed myself the whole way. I didn't change the way I was. I didn't even change the way I dressed. My stepmom got mad at me a couple of times because I would go to church with rock t-shirts on. But my dad said, I'm not going to ask her to change anything about herself because God loves her the way she is. And that's what I believe, is that you don't have to dress up. You don't have to go to a church. Yes, it's nice to be around people of similar faith with you, but you don't have to go to church for God to love you. You don't have to dress in your best clothes for him to acknowledge your presence. He sees you at home in your pajamas, like I am right now. I'm in my pajamas. It's almost 1 in the morning. He sees me, he loves me the way that I am. In my belief, the mother and father love me the way that I am. And so I didn't feel like I should turn into somebody fake just to worship a deity that I wasn't even able to see. Like, I didn't stop believing in him. I just believed in him in a different way. Then what was I gonna say? So at that time, also like at Gospel Lighthouse, like the youth pastors would encourage you to ask questions. And so I asked questions, but then they started getting frustrated with me about the questions I was asking because they couldn't answer them. And they told me basically to shut up or not come back. And I didn't appreciate that, so I didn't come back. But anyways, at that time I was more like, I had already known my mom's friend, but I had started asking more questions about Wicca to her because she's Wiccan. I have a video of her from the interview I did with her and her husband. It's Alicia, if you've seen the video already. But she showed me how she worshipped, and she showed me her books on Wicca and everything, and I started reading them, and it started to make sense to me. And so that's how I came to Wicca. I have not practiced it openly until just recently because I was afraid of what people would think of me, but now I just don't care. Like, this is who I am, and if you don't like me, then that's your problem, it's not mine. So that answers that question. The next one is, would you say you pray, and if so, how often? I pray, and I pray to the mother and the father, or if I need a specific need, I pray to either the mother or the father. Sometimes I pray to just God in general, which means I'm asking for both of them to help me. I don't pray as often as like a Christian would be expected to pray, or anything like that. I pray whenever, it's gonna sound wrong, but I pray when I need help or when I need something. Like, if I need help with anything, then I know that they'll help me. I just have to also work to get it. I know that the prayer helps me to motivate myself to do things. The next question is, what rituals, if any, do you perform that have to do with Wicca, and how often would you say you perform them? Well, like I said, I haven't actually been open about it until the past year, and just recently I started reading about the Sabbats of Wicca. There's 8 of them. I can't name them all right now, but the ones that I have done so far is Samhain or Samhain, however you want to pronounce it, but it's Halloween, and that's my New Year. That's where my New Year starts. And so last Halloween, that's the first time that I practiced Samhain. I wrote down all of the since it's the New Year's, that's the ending of one cycle and beginning of the next. So I wrote down all of the negative things I wanted to rid myself of for the following year, for 2013. Well, for the end of 2012 and the beginning of 2013, and going through 2013, obviously. But I wrote down all the negativities that I had been dealing with, all the negative things, and what I wanted to overcome, and I burned them. I wrote them on little sheets of paper. I folded them up, and I burned them, and I just put them in a ceramic bowl full of sand that I made last semester. Well, I didn't make the sand, but I made the bowl, and I got the sand from Walmart, but that's beside the point. And I burned them, and I instantly felt better. And I was like, this is something that I can do every year. The second one that I have performed was Yule, which is Christmas. And all I really did for Yule was light a red and green candle, since those are Christmas colors, and put holly and mistletoe next to the candles and let it burn until the candles burned out themselves. So they were 7-day candles, so it took a while. And the most recent one was on the 2nd of February, which was in bulk. And since we had to go to school on that day, I read this, one of my books that I have. It's called The Wiccan Year, and it has every holiday in it and some rituals that you can do. And one of them was to heat up milk and mix honey and vanilla in it, and it was really good. I did that, and I drank about 4 glasses of that to just acknowledge that it was in bulk. And that's basically the rituals that I've done so far. I have before made pouches of mixes of herbs that are supposed to help me with certain things. I've made a protection for travel pouch for my dad, and he keeps it in his car. Even though he is Christian, he respects what I believe, and he keeps it in his car because he knows that it makes me feel better. And that's basically that. The next question is, do you meet with people of similar belief on a regular basis? And if so, when and where? I wouldn't say I do it on a regular basis. I do go visit my mom's friend, who I view as my teacher, my mentor. I go visit her sometimes. I was over there today, actually. But that's not going to matter what today is, because y'all aren't going to know because it's a video. Okay, Sunday. It's Sunday the 17th of February. But I went and visited her today, and that's when I interviewed her. And I do talk to her sometimes when I need help with like a ritual or something, which she basically just tells me to do what I want, but it just feels good knowing that I could ask her for help and stuff. But that's basically that. The next question is, what do you find most rewarding about Wicca? I think most Wiccans would say this, but it's the freedom to be yourself, the freedom to worship how you want to worship, and not being told that you're going to go to hell because you don't do something, or you don't go to church on Sunday or something. It's the freedom of, if you aren't able to do something, to acknowledge them. Like, if you aren't, like, for example, this is the same example that Alicia used, but if you can't stay home and celebrate, like in bulk, for example, it's just acknowledging the day. That's all that matters. It's the being able to judge what is right and wrong based on morals, and not based on just what a book tells me to do. And it's just, like I said, it's just freedom. It's freedom to be yourself and do what you want to do, basically. The only thing is, it's just the same as the golden rule, but the read of Wicca is harm none and don't harm yourself. That's included in the harm none, and that's basically it. Don't harm the earth, don't harm yourself, don't harm anybody else. Which is pretty easy to do. Well, the harming the earth is harder to do, seeing in this day and age, but you can always do some things like recycle and stuff like that. And that's what I find most rewarding. And the next question is, have you ever questioned your beliefs? No, I have not. Since I have started believing that this is the way that I want to live, I haven't questioned it, because it's just based on common sense and morals, and I'm not a bad person, so there's no reason for me to question it. I do my best to be the best person that I can be. Then the next question is, how has Wicca impacted your life? Like I said, it's made me feel more free. I've been able to get to know myself without fear of being judged by other people. I'm a nice person, so people don't judge me by what I believe most of the time. They judge me by how I treat other people, which is how I judge people. Is if you treat somebody wrong, if you treat somebody in a mean way, then I'm going to judge you for that, because that means, where's your morals? Just because you don't like someone doesn't mean you have to be rude to them. I mean, I don't like a lot of people, but I'm still as nice as I can to everybody, because nobody deserves to have someone being mean to them. They all deserve to be loved. Because we are all humans, and that's basically what we strive for, is love and acceptance. The 10th question is, have you encountered any spiritual challenges or obstacles in practicing Wicca? And if so, how did you overcome them? When I first told my dad that this is what I believed, he was like, but that's not what we believe as a family. You can't believe that. And at that point, I felt betrayed by my father, because he had always been there for me. He had always been the one that supported me and everything, and was always, whatever made me happy was good. He wasn't going to judge me for that. And then here he was telling me that I was wrong. And so, yeah, I started to mistrust my dad at that point. But eventually he got to his point where he realized he doesn't know whether or not his way of believing is right, just as I don't know whether or not mine is completely right. It's just what I feel inside. And this is what I feel. And he saw how much it hurt me that he wasn't supporting me. And he finally realized, like, he can't do that being a father. He can't hurt his daughter that way. And now he accepts it. He actually encourages it now. He encourages it, and like I said, he is accepting, and he keeps that pouch that I made him in his car because he knows that it makes me feel better. The next question is, how many, if any, gods do you worship, and do you put a name to them, or are they nameless? Like I've said already before in this video, I believe in one higher power and a duality, in a mother and a father. If I had to put a name to them, I feel strongly that the mother should be called Diana. And it's for school. Yeah, sorry. Night. That was my mother-in-law. So the names that I feel that, for one, the mother should be called Diana, which is the goddess of the moon, the Roman goddess of the moon, and her Greek name is Artemis. And Artemis's twin brother is Apollo, that's my puppy's name. But Apollo is the god of the sun, and he is, like I said, Artemis's twin brother. And his Roman name is the same as his Greek name, which is Apollo. And so if I had to put a name to them, it would be Artemis and Apollo, and I would see them as brother and sister rather than being married or something like that. Then, so basically it would be one, like I said, one higher power, two aspects, Artemis and Apollo. And like I said, my puppy's name is Apollo. His name is Apollo Sun, like S-U-N, Apollo Sun Martinez, because that's my fiance's last name, is Martinez. But the next question is, if you were to describe your deity, how do you think he and she would look? Well, seeing how Artemis is the goddess of the moon, I would see her as pale-skinned with dark hair and blue eyes. But hey, that kind of sounds like I described myself. But no, not me. Like long, dark hair, bright blue eyes, and the palest skin, like the color of the moon whenever it's in its full moon phase. And for Apollo, I would see him as blonde hair, masculine, very like Artemis would be very feminine looking, and Apollo is very masculine looking, and yeah, like he would be on a chariot carrying the sun across the sky like he does in the Greek and Roman myths. Artemis is also the goddess of the hunt, so I would see her surrounded by woodland creatures and carrying a bow and an arrow, which is my favorite sport, archery. And that's just how I would see them. And the last question is, does your belief encourage or discourage anything in particular based on morals? Like I said, it's just to don't harm anybody, and don't harm yourself, don't harm others, don't harm the earth. Do your best to do for others, which is basically common sense, normal morals, right and wrong. And that's it. So that's how I am. That's how I believe. If y'all have any more questions, y'all can freely ask me, and I will answer them the best that I can. I don't claim to be an expert, nor does any of the people that I have interviewed. But yeah, that's it. And I'm sorry for how long this video was, but I had to answer the questions. So thank you for watching, and there you go.